It was raining like this. I sat down in the wet cement. Two women, and they walked by me and they saw me crying and they said, "How are you?" I said, "I'm fine." Because of those two strangers that night, what they did in that moment, it changed my life forever. I'm from Canada, but on social media, the name is MD Motivator. It stands for Medical Doctor Motivator, because I was in medical school in Sydney, Australia, when the pandemic started. And when I started medical school, I moved to the other side of the world from Canada. I went through a 6-year relationship breakup. I tore my ACL, so I needed to get surgery. I couldn't walk. Medical school was challenging. I moved to the other side of the world. Everything was online. I couldn't make new friends. I was in such a good position in my life. How can I complain? And I didn't want to be the one to complain, or because I felt like I had it so good. And for my whole life, up until I got to med school, I was like this clip art right here. This guy with the blinders on. I had a goal, and a lot of it maybe wasn't rooted in what was the most fulfilling thing for me, but I was at this goal, and then this year happened, and these blinders came off. And I saw life as it was. And I said, who is Zachary? What makes me happy? What's my purpose? And I felt like I didn't have an answer to any of those questions. So this is the Sydney Opera House. And it was a night like this. It was about a year into my med school. And I remember I was feeling these emotions. And I was like, the last thing I want to do is let my friend named Daniel at the time know how I was feeling, because I was really sad. So I was like, don't let him see. So I went for a walk. It was raining like this. I sat down in the wet cement, and there was two women in their mid to late 30s at the time, and they walked by me and they saw me crying and they said, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "Nothing, I'm good." They're like, "How are you?" I said, "I'm fine." Anyone want to guess what they did in that moment? It changed my life forever. Hugged me. They thought I was poor. Thankfully, no, that wasn't a situation that night. They sat in the wet cement for 30 minutes and listened to a stranger. And I'll never forget how good that felt. And I started sharing this story about a year ago because I've never met them since. But because of those two strangers that night, I felt so uniquely me and confident that it didn't matter if it felt approved or disapproved, that I decided to call my parents and tell them I want to quit med school to go back to their basement and make TikToks. What do your parents, if you're fortunate, want for you more than anything? Your happiness and your health. And I'm so blessed and fortunate that my mom and dad saw that I wasn't happy and I wasn't mentally healthy, that they supported me to move back home and quit on this dream that I originally had, even though they didn't understand anything about social media or if it would ever work out, but they just cared for me. And I'm so forever grateful for them. So flew back home, and I would stand outside my local mall every single day. This was the end of the pandemic, and I would blindfold and hug strangers and talk to kids, to seniors, to anyone and everyone. And I did this for 6 months straight. It wasn't until this one day, this guy comes up to me. In Canada, this is what money looks like if you're not familiar with what $100 looks like in Canada. And he comes up to me, and he's like, "I love your videos. I love how you make people feel. I want to give you $100. I'm like, "You want to give me your money? Why do you want to give me your money?" He's like, "It'd be amazing if at the end of your interaction, if someone needs it, you could surprise them with money." And I was like, okay. And I was very anxious and confused, but I thought it was genuine. And so I took his $100 and then I gave it away. And then we started every day going on TikTok live, and we raised $380 that day, saying we're gonna go give it to a taxi driver, then go find a kind taxi driver, film it, edit it, post it that night. So you knew that your $3 from a TikTok live went to this guy named Julio in Mexico, or this person in my hometown. And every day we would do these crowdfunds and raise money, give it away, and then it snowballed. And then we started crowdfunding on a much larger scale. And in the last 18 months, we've given away over 5 million. When I say we, the internet, everybody online has given away over $5 million US. And to me, that's such social proof that people want to be good if you give them an opportunity to act. And I've been very fortunate that throughout this process, while making kindness cool, we've done videos. We have Post Malone, Ronaldo, Kim Kardashian, Messi, Mark Cuban, The Rock, Ed Sheeran, Kevin Hart, Paris, the most amazing people, but it's not really as blessed and fortunate I am to make videos with them, it's these people along the way, and there's hundreds, that I feel like my life has been changed forever. And I've learned many lessons along the way. One that sticks with me that I want to share before I go is this guy right here. His name says James, but his actual name is Michael. He was from Harlem, New York. And this was the first time we ever crowdfunded. And there was a guy sitting down in a wheelchair, and he said, "Help me, anybody help me." And I went up to him and I said, "What's going on?" He says, I need $195 for my rent. It's due by tomorrow. He lives in like subsidized housing. Otherwise, I'm gonna be kicked out in the streets. And I was noticing people were walking by him like it was air. And so we surprised him with $500, and I was like, that's not enough in my mind. So I wanted to like create a crowdfund where we raised $88,000 for him, but I wanted to create that. And I posted it, and within 40 minutes, we raised $9,000. And I'm like, holy smokes, this thing is like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I put up a story on my Instagram. I said, anybody from 127th Street in Harlem, New York, that's free tomorrow at 9 a.m., meet me outside the US Postal Office. I'll never forget it. And we surprised Michael at the time. In 24 hours, we raised a little over $50,000 for him. And I'll never forget mentally, I felt so good that we raised all this money for, I thought that was like the biggest thing. But the coolest part of the story was never in any of the videos. It was when the video turned off and Michael tapped my elbow and he said, "Zach, I want to thank you for raising all this money and bringing everyone to do this experience for me. But I haven't had a friend in 9 years, and now I have 7 people I can call a friend. Thank you." It was at that moment that I learned it was about the connection. He gave me a quarter, and this thing really just kickstarted. The quarter he gave me allowed him to now live with his son in New Jersey that he hadn't seen in 3 years. The quarter he gave me allows him to now live with his grandkids that he never met before. So my biggest takeaway, it's the small acts that we make have the power. Everybody in this room has the power, and I hope when you watch the videos, you feel it in your heart the next time you're in a situation where you're hesitating, should I do something or should I not? Go for it, and thank you for listening to my talk. I love you guys.